Last week, I showed you what heavyweight leadership is actually made of. Today, I'm showing you how to build executive presence layer by layer so you can see exactly what you need to work on. By the end of this video, you will know exactly which part of your executive presence is strong and which part is costing you promotions, influence, and respect. And I'll tell you upfront something I've seen countless times in my coaching career, something almost everyone gets wrong. It's a bit counterintuitive, but stay with me. It's this. The thing you are convinced is your problem is almost never the problem. It's usually just a symptom of the real problem. The real problem is usually sitting one layer underneath it, out of sight, doing all the damage while you work on the wrong thing. What I'm about to show you took me 20 years to work out. 20 years of coaching managers, directors, and senior leaders above them, watching some of them rise fast and watching others get stuck for reasons they could never quite put their finger on. And somewhere in all of that, the pattern I'm about to show you became clear to me. So I took everything I'd seen and pressed it down into one simple model, which means you can understand in the next 15 minutes what took me 2 decades to see clearly. This is what I call the executive presence code. 4 layers stacked, and each one holds up everything above it. Composure at the base, then backbone, then clarity, and influence right at the top. It took me 20 years to build this model and test it with my clients, and that's how I know it works. And something I've seen again and again in those 20 years is this. Powerful presence leaks trace back to the lowest unbroken layer. Here's what I mean in practice. When something's going wrong, for example, when you are being talked over in meetings, or when people aren't taking you seriously, the problem you can actually see is almost never where the real problem lives. It's like a tree. What we see above the ground is the trunk and the crown, but the tree lives only because the deep roots feed it. So take hedging language as an example. All those softeners like, this is just my opinion, or perhaps I'm wrong, but on the surface, it looks like a communication problem, right? But when you go one layer down, what you usually find is a backbone problem. Someone who hasn't yet decided they're even allowed to say the thing, let alone challenge somebody with it. Or take influence, or rather the lack of it. That looks like a visibility problem, but often is a composure problem. Someone who hasn't built the confidence to show up with the same authority every single time, so they haven't been able to build trust, and that's why they can't influence. So the bottom line is that you don't fix the top of the pyramid by starting at the top of the pyramid. You find the lowest cracked layer, fix it, and then build up from there. So let me take you through all 4 layers, one by one, so you can fully understand how it works. The first layer is composure, and it's the foundation of the model for a very good reason. The question underneath it is this. Can you stay steady when the pressure is on? And I don't mean in the comfortable moments, because anyone can look composed when nothing is at stake. I mean the moments when someone challenges you in front of your peers, or your work gets picked apart, or a project goes sideways and everyone is watching your face to work out how worried they should be. That's why I often tell my clients that respect is built in the moments you find most uncomfortable. And that's where composure either holds or it doesn't, in the discomfort zone. And composure shows up in your body long before it reaches your words. It shows in your posture, whether you are still or fidgeting, or how quickly you start talking when things get uncomfortable. People read all of that in about 2 seconds, usually without realizing they're doing it. And this is why composure sits at the very bottom, because when it cracks, everything above it cracks with it. I bet you've experienced it yourself and you've seen it in others. A nervous system that feels under threat does one of these three things. It rambles, it appeases, or it freezes. And I think we can agree that none of those three is a great look for a leader. Now, the good news, and it's genuinely good news, is that composure is a skill set. It sits at the cross-section of emotional self-regulation and resilience. And I promise that you can build it, very much like a muscle. Okay, let's move on to layer 2, which is backbone. This is where respect is actually earned. And it's the layer where you might get a bit uncomfortable. And that's fine, stay with me. Backbone is the one people admire from the outside and underestimate how hard it is from the inside. It shows up when doing the right thing costs you something. It's taking the hard decision when everyone around you is quietly hoping you won't. Or it's holding a boundary that might disappoint someone. It's saying no to a request without attaching an apology to it. Or it might be naming the problem that everyone in the meeting is very politely pretending not to see. And you know this, people learn very fast whether you will hold your position or fold the moment it gets uncomfortable. And once they've learned you will fold, they stop taking you seriously. And it's not even on purpose, it's just the way it is. When people bluff or back down the moment there's pushback, we stop giving their words any weight. That's why I often tell my clients, say what you mean and mean what you say. That's how people learn to treat your words and you seriously. Now, let me say something in defense of the backbone-less, because I've met a great many of them. They're almost always the kindest, most considerate people in the whole organization. They care deeply about their relationships and they don't want to hurt anyone. And those really are lovely qualities to have in the right dose. The problem starts when kindness slowly turns into conflict avoidance, because at that point, it isn't really kindness anymore. It's self-protection, and your people deserve better than a leader who's protecting themselves instead of doing the uncomfortable things that inevitably come with the territory of leadership. So that was backbone. Next level is clarity. And by now you can probably see why it sits above backbone rather than below it. Clarity goes deeper than communication skills, or word choice, or knowing how to get to the point. Underneath all of this sits one decision: whether you've actually given yourself permission to say the thing at all. When your backbone is solid, that permission is already sorted and clarity comes easy. When it isn't, when some part of you is still negotiating whether you should even be speaking, that negotiation leaks straight into your language. It comes out as the softeners like, I might be completely wrong here, but, or sorry to jump in, or this is just my opinion, or I don't want to rock the boat, but you know the ones you use. Clarity at the heavyweight level sounds very different. Bottom line first. One clean sentence that carries the whole message. The detail available if someone actually wants it and not offered up front just in case. The heavyweight leaders that embody clarity live by one of my favorite mottos. Talk less, say more. And when this layer is strong, people pay attention. That's because your words simply carry more weight per second, so people make space for them automatically. And this leads to the last layer, which is influence. It sits right at the top of the pyramid, and predictably, it's the one everyone wants to start from. I understand the appeal. It's the most visible, the most senior looking, the most attractive thing to work on. But influence without the 3 layers holding it up is just performance, or even worse, manipulation. And people smell it a mile off. The real thing, the kind of influence that makes people follow you because they genuinely want to and not because the org chart says they have to, is built on composure, backbone, and clarity. No way around it. So what does having influence look like day to day? From what I've seen, it's the ability to read people accurately understand what they care about, and speak to that. For example, it's the ability to pitch the same idea to two people and say differently to each because you know one cares about the cost and the other cares about the timeline. And that's why I always teach my clients to adapt the message to the audience. Influence is also the ability to take a meeting that's going in circles because everyone has dug their heels deep in the corners and find the way to help people make a compromise without losing face. And one more thing. Influence is also the ability to promote yourself so that the right people know that you are ready for the next level. And I get it, self-promotion is more uncomfortable than many people like to admit. Most of us, and especially women, were raised on the idea that good work speaks for itself, and self-promotion is sleazy and self-serving. But here's a very uncomfortable truth. You can be brilliant and still be invisible. Believe me, your good work is not enough. And that's because at some level, everybody's work is just as good. So my advice to you is this. Stop waiting for the work to speak for you and start speaking for yourself. Nobody is coming with a promotion just because your work is good. You need to be known for the right things by the right people at the level where you are going. So let me repeat this for you. Getting to the next level takes visibility, courage, and sponsors. And sponsors will only speak for someone with a strong, well-known reputation. And building that reputation is your job, not theirs. So there we are. The whole Executive Presence Code explained in 4 simple steps. If you've just spotted your weakest layer and you'd like my feedback on it, book a free strategy call with me. It's 30 minutes, just the 2 of us, and we look at where you actually are, what's most likely holding you back, and whether working with me is the right accelerator for you. The link is below. And if you'd rather keep working on your own for a while, subscribe, because every video on this channel goes back to one of these 4 layers. For now, thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video.